God made me as a revolutionary, as one who is set apart. I am called to be one who shows revolutionary love. And the best place that we can learn about this revolutionary living, this revolutionary love, is from Jesus. See, I mentioned it earlier and I'll say it again. Jesus was a revolutionary. Jesus was a revolutionary. He was a guy that shaped culture. Anywhere he went, he was so passionately committed to what he believed that he would teach on it, and there would be a response that must come out of the people around him. It didn't matter what it was about. Wherever Jesus went, he presented truth in such a way that people had to respond. The things he did and the way he lived his life was so revolutionary that it caused an entire city to go into an uproar that ended up taking him to the cross. Jesus was a revolutionary. He was a person that understood how to live the extreme life that God challenges you and I to live. All throughout the Gospels, we find Jesus going to those who are desperately trying to find hope and showing them crazy love. He went to the people that he was teaching. He said weird, crazy things like, hey, you got to love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Like, what? Say it again, Jesus. Back that thing up. Say it again. Love your enemies. Pray for those who persecute. How do I do that? What are you talking about? See, and in that day when he said that to those people, get this. You hated your enemies. And the last thing you did was pray for those who were persecuting you. But Jesus comes with a new way of thinking. Everybody say thinking. Yeah, okay, let's do it again. Everybody say thinking. Yeah, Jesus came with a new way of thinking, a new way of living. And it was a revolutionary concept of love. Well, Jesus, what about my rights? What about who I am and what I deserve? Jesus was a revolutionary. In John chapter 8, we find Jesus who has just come through one of the craziest weeks ever. It starts off with him doing a miracle with about 10,000 people where he takes a few loaves of bread and a few fish and he feeds an entire crowd of 10,000 people. Is that crazy? A miracle where all of a sudden they pass around this food, and the Bible talks about the feeding of the 5,000. Well, that's just the men. When you get the kids and everybody else, there's at least 10,000 people in the field, and Jesus passes around a few loaves of bread and a few fish, and guess what? It keeps on giving until it gets to the end, and they pick up 12 baskets full of food. Yeah. That was the beginning of the week. And then it goes from there, and it gets even better. His disciples are on a boat in the middle of the water, and Jesus decides to stay back to pray. In the middle of the night, they wake up and they look out and they're like, what is that coming towards us? And all of a sudden, here comes Jesus walking on the water. Like, what? What is going on? Jesus is walking on water. He comes out and he challenges his disciples to be full of faith. They think it's a ghost, man. I don't know. See, our natural response is look at the miracles of God. And we're like, what in the world is going on? They think he's a ghost. He goes, no, I'm the real thing. Get out of the boat and come to me. He challenges them to live a life of faith. That's the beginning of this week, and it gets better from there. He goes to a town and goes to this festival and starts to teach about this new way of living, this revolutionary life that God is calling people to live out. And the Bible says that after these miracles, people were so torn over who he was that a riot broke out in this town about who Jesus was, whether he was from Satan or whether he was from God. And an all-out riot brawl started happening in the street. This is some crazy stuff. I mean, talk about a roller coaster. Up and down, up and down. That's this week. And we get to John chapter 8. Check this out. John chapter 8, verse 2. Let's read about it together. It says this. This is after this crazy week. It's after they've come through all these miracles and the riot and the things that are happening. And Jesus comes early in the morning to teach in the temple of God. Look at verse 2.